What's up everyone and welcome back to my second installment of Crash Course One Piece Guides. In the next couple of minutes I'll teach you Purple Luffy. If you end up enjoying today's video, I also covered Sakazuki on the channel about a week ago, so do check that one out as well. With that said, let's jump right into the video. So what does Purple Luffy do? Basically, it ramps you an extra done once per turn on your second turn and onward. Every time you do though, you need to add the top card of your life into your hand. If you go first, this means you can push out a 4-cost card on turn 2 and potentially a 7-cost card on turn 3. Going second is equally strong because you can put down one of your 5-cost cards like Eustace on turn 2. To get a feeling of how all the cards work together and why, I personally like to split everything into categories and sort them by function. So first things first, ramping. Outside of Luffy himself, the deck runs a bunch of ramp cards. The ones you'll commonly see are Miss Doublefinger, Gum Jet Gatling, Pauli, and the 5-cost Eustace. When you play Miss Doublefinger, you get to put a rested Dun onto the field by discarding a card. Gum Jet Gatling ramps one Dun when it triggers. When you play Pauli, you can pay 2 Dun in order to ramp a Dun from your Dun deck, and then on top of that it knocks out a character with a cost of 4 or less. Finally, our 5-cost Eustace lets you ramp a Dun whenever you return a Dun card back into your Dun deck. This latter one is kind of a pseudo ramp, but generally speaking we have a lot of cards in the deck that return Duns back into the Dun deck, so having this as an additional ability is very powerful. Eustace will make sure that we can keep on ramping on curve and get into some very powerful plays, so generally speaking you even want to put this on the field on turn 2 whenever possible. When it comes to returning Dun cards, you have access to some of the most powerful effects in the game. Cards like Kaido, Queen, Ulti all have some form of minus Dun when you play them to give you an additional bonus effect. For card advantage, we have X-Drake, Khalifa, Trafalgar Law, and Queen. Queen and Khalifa let you draw 2 cards and then trash one, so basically cantripping themselves plus letting you dig deeper into your deck for future turn cards. X-Drake forces the opponent to discard a card, and Trafalgar Law forces the opponent to discard 2 cards, but only if they have 7 or more cards in hand. The effect of Trafalgar Law is extremely powerful against decks like Whitebeard that tend to load the hand with a bunch of card advantage. Coincidentally, the existence of this version of Trafalgar Law is probably the reason why we won't be seeing a lot of Whitebeard in the upcoming OP05 meta. For board state advantage, we have Ulti, Kaido, and a 10-drop Luffy. Ulti on play lets you put 1 page from your hand onto the field. So a mere 4-Dun play generates you a 5k and a 6k party as early as turn 2. Kaido, one of the 2 big boss characters of the deck, requires you to put 5 Dun back into the deck instead of just 1. This may seem like much at first, but in return you get a 10k power rush character that knocks out one of your opponent's 6 or lower cost characters as well. Kaido can often win you the game out of nowhere with a well-timed removal and swing. We have 2 more powerful cards that return a Dun to the deck, but the effect is a little bit technical, so it is a bit difficult to place them into a specific category. Let's cover them now so you get an idea of what they do. Magellan forces your opponent to put a Dun card back into the deck, so you get a powerful body on the field and simultaneously throw your opponent off the curve and game plan. Another cool thing about Magellan is that when it gets knocked out in the opponent's turn, when they attack it for example, they need to put 2 more Dun back into their Dun deck. So generally this means that they can't really get rid of Magellan unless they of course bounce it back into your hand or put it on the bottom of your deck with a different ability. 7-drop Eustace lets you activate this effect by putting a Dun back into the Dun deck and then grants your leader plus 1000 power until your next turn. This is both offensively very good but also defensively because it puts your Luffy at 6k power, which is very hard to hit and is very easy to protect with all the 2k counters that you have. In regards to blockers, 4-drop Trafalgar Law, 5-drop Eustace, and Queen are your dedicated blockers. Generally speaking, you'll be playing Eustace as soon as possible anyway, and Trafalgar and Queen give a chunk of card advantage, so having blockers on the field is not really an issue. On top of that, Eustace and Queen being 6k power means that they are quite easy to protect with our counters as well. In regards to our 2k counters, we have Ulti, Miss Doublefinger, Franosuke, Khalifa, and X-Drake. As you can see, the deck is quite defensive compared to other top decks like Sakazuki. The cards shown on the screen right now are all 1k counters, but generally you don't really want to use them for their counter effects. Depending how you want to build your purple Luffy deck, most players tend to include some additional 1k counter vanilla characters that are just strong to play on curve. So if you want some of these, you can always consider adding cards like Sphinx or Bins in these slots to have some 6k parties that only cost 4 done to play. Franosuke, that I mentioned earlier as a 2k counter, has a very nice ability as well. Franosuke gains rush if you have 8 or more done, so you can play this, attach a bunch of your active done to it, and then swing into your opponent for 6k or more. There are a bunch of event cards that are worth playing in the deck. Generally, you can't go wrong with these two shown on the screen right now. Most decks like running 3 copies of Gum Gum Jet Gatling, while other players prefer Blast Breath, which is kind of like a radical beam in purple. You can even run both or simply run 0. There's a lot of variations of purple Luffy, so just see what kind of a playstyle that you like to play and modify your deck as such. Purple Luffy starting at 5 life is huge. Do be careful though, because you'll be facing a lot of opposing purple decks that also have the Trafalgar loss that force you to discard. So unlike past One Piece metas where you generally take a few hits and then keep on accumulating card advantage in hand, it's advisable to counter out of some initial hits in OP05 when facing purple decks. As for a solid deck list, you can start out with the one that I'm showing on screen right now. This variant of the deck does not run the 10-card Secret Rare Luffy, nor does it run Gum Gum Jet Gatling or the Miss Doublefinger Ram package, but it has all the powerful tech cards in it to push out some extremely potent turn 3 and turn 4 board states. This version of the deck has 16 2k counters on top of 12 blockers, so keeping your Luffy alive should be quite easy. With that said, I think we covered everything there is to know about purple Luffy in the early OP05 meta. I am a full-time content creator that focuses on many card games including Flesh and Blood, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. I'm currently testing the waters for ongoing One Piece content, so if this video was useful to you and you'd like me to do more of these kind of guides, please leave a comment down below. Also, by liking the video and subscribing to the channel, I get a lot of insights in terms of the interest for One Piece content, so do consider those as well. I absolutely adore One Piece as a TCG, and I hope that we can build a solid community and make the work that goes into making these videos worthwhile. Also, if you love what I do and you do want to support me, there is a Patreon over on patreon.com/KuganeGaming, and if you do join the Patreon, you can always send me a private message on there to let me know what type of content or deck you'd like me to cover next. Thank you for sticking around. I hope that I will see you soon, and I hope you'll have a ton of fun playing purple Luffy in the upcoming OP05 meta. And while you're here, why not check out one of these 2 videos?